They are stepping up in performance, the Davies racing team.
This is through the shake zone. This should be a good number, and a 577.
Davies all the way.
We said that car has been on the edge of making it down the racetrack on just about every run.
So goes 575. Contact made.
Starting off, I chose drag racing. I was always a bit of a rat bag. Always into dirt bikes, paddy bashes. Grew up on a farm. Liked going fast, so we always had fast street cars. My brother had a fast street car, Mum and Dad had a fast car. Then we got married and then had the kids. Gareth said, why don't you try drag racing? Because I didn't really have any hobbies.
Well, we've always drag raced, like myself.
Yeah, Gareth raced first actually, and so I used to go out, watch him do it, and then he's like, well, why don't you have a go? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. So that's how it all eventuated, really.
Well, the reality behind that, Michelle hates talking about it, is after Michelle went through cancer and part of her rehabilitation, and she needed to get out and do stuff, and I'd always raced my cars, and it was like, well, why don't... Basically, we said that, well, fuck it, I'll sit out, you go in and you start, and she just took to it like a duck to water, and her first ever licensing pass in the car, she went 9-1 at 150 something mile an hour, whatever it was, and the smile on her face at the end of it, and that was it. She just got out. She went from nervous as hell and never done it to, by the time we got down the deep end, she was like, that was unbelievable, let's go again. And yeah, never looked back really. It was just, I never ever hopped back in, and she just took the reins and off she went.
Yeah, like every pass is like an adrenaline, like it's just like a thrill seeking, like fast, and you just, I still get nervous. Like I get nervous watching it on the TV, cars going fast. And I'd get nervous every time I hopped in the car, thinking what I had to do and memorising everything. But being nervous is a good thing, I think, like you're on the ball.
How did the whole Davies racing thing come about?
It just eventuated really, because
like
Gareth, Gareth started racing, then I started racing. We did the boys, like when they grew up and they were old enough to hop into juniors, like they raced. Gareth built bikes, so we incorporated like bikes into it. So that's just we are Davies. So we live and breathe really drag racing.
If you asked us 7-8 years ago where we wanted to end up or what we wanted to do, I can honestly tell you it was never on the radar. It was never something we aspired to do. It was just like a natural progression. Her driving abilities and the skill in the car that she always had, and the way she'd bet. And we've had some, she's had some accidents in there, like everyone does. If you don't crash, you're technically, you're not pushing the boundaries, and it was just a natural progression. And ultimately, we only ever bought the Mustang to go faster and safer in the 10.5 class than what we were. And then the 10.5 class kind of dwindled away. We had no intentions of running it as a doorslammer when we bought the Mustang, and it was purely going to be another 10.5 car. And by the time we'd actually got it, and the 10.5 class, basically faded out and no one was doing it. A lot of the guys were going radial racing, and Michelle used to laugh and say, I'm not getting up out of bed and going to the track to run an 8 mile pass. She always wanted to run quarter mile stuff, and just, it was like just the next natural progression step was, and all the guys like, you know, Paul Mahayat and everyone, and, you know, Sam Fennick and the guys that we were racing with, and we'd come through, you know, the 10-5 days, and, you know, they'd all gone to Doorslammer, and, you know, we just, you know, and even Spinozzi's, like all them guys that we know and we've grown up with and around in the car scene, they'd gone down, and we just like, you know what, yeah, we've got the car to do it, we've got the running gear, let's go and have a go. It was just, it was never a plan, if that makes sense. Like, it was just, yeah, it was, why not was basically the answer, not more why. It was just like, yeah, why not give it a go?
Like, was it very family backed, or is it you had outsiders?
We've always been a family operation, like always. I mean, and don't get me wrong when I say that, we've had some really good people that have become long-term, like, you know, like family friends, like, you know, that have helped us along the way. And yeah, but it's always been enough. Like the boys, even like Jake and Brody, were both, when they were too young, they used to get upset because they couldn't come out on the start line because they'd help and do so much at home in the shed and work on the car and clean the car and be a part of everything. And then we'd get to the racetrack and they weren't allowed to come out on the start line. So that was a bit, but yeah, we've always had a real, like, tight-knit, been a basically, you know, like family operation from the early days. You know, and it's ironic because when we very first ever started racing, Paul from Pro Flow Performance used to help us like with that because we were mates from when we first got our licenses. And ironically now, you know, God, 30 years on, Brody works with Paul at Pro Flow, you know, building cars, and it's just that relationship and that you have over them years. Just everyone, it's a small industry within, like a small group within a real big industry. Like everyone knows everyone.
How hard was it to be competitive in that class back then for the Torana?
In the Torana, I think we pretty much killed it. Like, I mean, it was...
No, in the early days, we couldn't be competitive, actually.
Yeah, sorry, because, in the early days, we started in the Supercharged Outlaws. And initially, they weren't too happy to have a girl in their class.
They were very against it, to be honest.
But, so it was a struggle, and every time... I mean, for many years when I first started, it was hard lining up against... Not for me, but more so for them, because obviously it's a male-dominated sport. So they were like, oh God, you know, you don't want to get beaten by a chick and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And lots of times, I mean, I didn't win all of the races, but I won a lot of races in the Torana. The Torana was just, like, in the end, I could have driven it, I think, with my eyes shut, which is, I knew the car so well. And I had a couple of incidents in that, tagged the wall and stuff, but it was all part of the process. It was good. They were the good days.
She has said to us for years now, and I mean years, like, you know, with the Mustang has been the most challenging thing I think we've ever done in life, but she has said for years and years, just get me back to Torana, put me back in the Torana, put me back in my happy place. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we in this thing? It's just the Torana, the second Torana, which was the left-hand drive car, full chassis car. Yeah. The first one was just basically a pro street car. But yeah, she's always, still to now, she'll say, like, that Torana, I could hop in that tomorrow and, just...
It's just a good car, like, good. But then again, like, we outgrew that too, because we had, you know, that, like, a big motor in it, and it was going too fast. Craig Burns actually pulled Gareth up and said, you know, like, we've got to think about this car's going too fast. And one of the things he said, you know, we can build these cars and they go fast, but we have to think about how they stop and
how they
crash, you know, which as racers you don't want to think about that. But yeah, I mean, that car was at its limits, you know, that we had it, and it was going very well. And so then we had the opportunity to buy the Mustang, so we jumped at that and went from there.
That car was, honestly, I mean, without, you know, people talk about records and this and that, and I mean, it was never a record-holding car, but at one point in time, that would have had to have been the most consistent blown car that there was out there anywhere. Like, that car was
like a bracket car.
It was on rails, like, it was, I mean, I shouldn't say that because she drove the arse out of it. It was like, sometimes we'd show her a video of the car after the run and she'd go, far out, should I have got out of that? No, probably, but, you know, you got down, you got out of it, you got the win. Like, it was a very successful car. But, you know, me and Craig, like Burns had that conversation. I don't think there's many other people out there and drivers that would have had the success that Michelle had in it, because she drove through and got away with a lot that probably a lot of people, maybe she shouldn't have, or a lot of people wouldn't have. Which, you know, if you can get it to the finish line and, you know, under power, that's half the battle, isn't it? So, oh, look, 100%, yeah, that car was, yeah, it was definitely a lot shorter wheelbase, and, you know, the same running gear that we've run and campaigned in the Mustang, like, we changed the gearbox on that in it, but that engine hasn't changed. Like I said, everything that we were running in the Torana went into the Mustang. So, yeah, we ended up going from the Roots to a PSI. That was the only change engine-wise. So same heads, same everything, like same combo, the whole deal, the whole time.
It was daunting because like I knew we were going to go faster, and I mean all along Gareth said, you know, it's going to be the same, you know, the same motor, same, but because I knew it had obviously a better body to go faster, it had the capability of going faster, so it was daunting. I didn't know how much faster. We were running what were we running in the Torana? 630s in the Torana, and I know like Doorslammers, they go fast, and like I didn't know if I was prepared for that. But I mean, we took it step by step. We did it slowly, but yeah, initially getting into it, getting like a lot of tyre shake, a lot of like we damaged the car and damaged lots of things on the car trying to get it to where, you know, we had a lot of help with the car. But yeah, it's a harder car, harder class to manage and get from A to B, that's for sure.
How was it going from the Torana to the Mustang with all your fans and all your supporters and everything? How did that transition happen? Basically
the same team, the same program. We just literally, we parked and then ended up selling the Torana, but everyone stayed on board with us. Everyone was part of it, the same team, the same crew, the same sponsors, the same, like, yeah, everyone, like, my old man, my brother, the boys, like everyone was like, and that's something we always do before we, you know, decide or make a change with anything we're doing. We always have the old dinner table, you know, conversations, and, you know, everyone has input, like, and that's something we've always done. Everyone's always had input in every decision we do, and, you know, whether we race a meeting or sit out a meeting or, you know, whatever happens for what, like, it's always a round table, like, discussion. It's never ever, we'll just go and make a decision and tell everyone. We've never been like that. It's always, yeah, it's been, I mean, we've travelled the country and raced, and, you know, from Perth all the way, and everyone, like from mum and dad to, you know, the kids, everyone, they've always done it with us. If we can't basically all go, then we didn't go.
So how did that make you feel, knowing it was your son also racing at the same time you were racing?
That was challenging, was
We only had this conversation with the boys the other day, and they actually reminded me how stressed and angry I used to get at the track, because we were running two juniors, like Jake and Brody were both in their juniors, and her in the Torana, and I suppose,
when you look back on it, like it
was fun. It was
good times, and we're glad that we did it, because it's nice. Like it's nice for the kids to have their opportunity to, you know, be competitive and have fun at the same time. So I mean, for them, that wasn't what it was all about. It was just about fun. It wasn't about, you know, whether you win, lose, or whatever it was. And the boys have made some great friends, you know, the racing, their era. And a lot of them are racing now, like, you know, growing up and building cars and racing. So it's nice to see.
Having that racing atmosphere growing up is definitely an advantage.
I mean, they say it's an individual sport, but it's really not. There isn't a single individual out there that can race their car like themselves without a team of people around and behind, backing and helping and supporting. There isn't a single racer out there that can do it on their own. Like, you know, and it's a real big misconception in the sport that it's like, yeah, the driver gets a lot of the glory and a lot of the front stage, but yeah, geez, there's always, everyone out there's got a team behind them. Like, yeah, and that is a big thing. That's always, a lot of that's lost, and a lot of the people in the background get lost on the way. But for every team you see out there, there'd be 10, 15 people behind the scenes making that person able to be out there on the start line.
How stressful and how much time is put in to get that car ready before it actually goes out for a run?
We've got everything down packed, so we have a routine of who does what, when, and all that. But it's still very stressful. So depending on if we go down the track and we don't break anything. Obviously that's a good thing, like we come back, everyone's pumped, we all get on doing our things. But it's hard, I guess, for Gareth because he likes to do everything. Obviously he has to do everything. You know, the motor's hot before it cools down. So, you know, he's got like the covers off and doing his bits. So it's a stressful time until like everything's done and the car's back on the ground, then we can sit down and relax. But once we get the car, you know, back and see what, you know, if there is any damage and check it all. We've got our checklist, so we sort of go through it and make sure everything's done and ready to go back out again. So
I can tell you, there's been hundreds of times where we wish, because they'll say, no, we're cancelling that, we're cancelling because of the delays, you guys are going out to the schedule, and it's like, far out, man, we could really do with that delay, or, you know, because you're thrashing, you burn a push rod tip, you've, you know, hurt a lifter, or, you know, like, so many things, you know, you've got a spark plug out and something's wrong, and the next minute you like investigate and you're working on it. Like, there's so many things. Like, we have literally, everyone has, every race team out there knows, so many times you've still got the thing on there doing a final call for the staging lanes, and the thing's still up on stands, and you're still bolting things together. And
yeah,
and we always say this, the harder it is to get to the start line,
the better it is.
It always seems to be the better result. If you're having a laugh, all relaxed, the car's ready, cleaned on the ground, waiting to tow out, you go out, you always seem to have a shit run. Like, it's just how the cookie crumbles. Where when you're thrashing and you don't sleep the week before, and you have sleepless nights, and, you know, you're trying to work, run a business, get the car ready, everyone's like at work, you're stressed, you go out there, they seem to be the meetings that seem to work and you get good results. And, you know, I think the more, it's scary, the more prepared you are, you kind of, in the back of your mind, you think, well, every time we're this prepared, we never have much luck. And I think history proves that's always the way, like, isn't it? Yeah.
How does that feel, you emotion-wise? Do you feel anxiety? Do you feel like there's a lot going on for that run?
Oh, as people see me and they probably think that I'm calm, but that's just me. I don't show a lot of emotion or anything like that. But I am very nervous. Like, before, like, I'll be watching the clock and thinking, okay, like, I've got 20 minutes before, you know, like, I've got to get ready, and, you know, I've got to go to the toilet, have the nervous wheeze. And yeah, I make sure, like, I keep busy, make sure I've got water in the buggy ready to go. But once I'm sort of, I know, like, I've got my gear on and we get around to the staging lanes, I'm pretty well tuned, you know, like, ready to go. I've got, you know, things right in the car.
And you get better as the day goes on.
Yeah, as the day goes on. Like, the first pass, I'm probably super nervous. Once I've done my first burnout, my first pass, more relaxed as the day goes on and more focused. Yeah, but I like to, once I'm like helmet on in the car, I just like to just be sitting there waiting. I like to go through the procedure and what I got to do.
We've had this conversation asked a lot over the years. It's never got easier. And it sounds silly. We joke about it, and you say it like, I don't want to get rid of my wife, you know what I mean? So when you put her in the car and, you know, you're sending her down the racetrack, even when she was running, you know, 7s and 8s in the Torana, it's a big thing. And we've had a golden rule from day one we ever started racing, that no one will ever pack a parachute but her. And we've always said that, like, the last thing as a driver that I've always said to her that you need to doubt is, have they done it properly, have this, like, you have to have your head in that zone. Anyone can go fast, and, you know, we all try and go fast, but part of the race, and it's as much of the race, is stopping it at the other end. This whole interview, you know, at this time right now when we look at the sport, you know, and we talk about this, and it's all so fresh for all of us, you know, like, we had Rob Taylor, you know, it was horrific for all of us to watch. She was strapped in next car to go down in front of us, and Rob's a friend and he's a fellow racer, and, you know, to watch him in Willowbank, you know, with that car catch on fire, and him literally, no one knew if he was alive, no one knew what was it was horrific to watch. And, you know, to see that, and that just shows you at them speeds, by the time something fails like that, to get out of the car and make sure they're safe and alive. And, you know, and then the very next meeting, you know, Michelle having her accident, and, you know, the severity of her injuries and what she's been dealing with over the last 3.5 months. And then obviously, you know, you go to Willowbank, you know, and Sam, who was a friend of ours and a fellow racer, and, you know, you see, you know, like, mate, it's as dangerous as any other sport out there. You know, we've had, unfortunately, people from junior dragster, you know, all the way through in these cars lose their lives. And, you know, it doesn't matter what car you're in, yeah, it's a dangerous sport. And, you know, that's a lot of the stress. And for me, I've got OCD, but I'm very strict in how we do things and the way we do things, because I'm strapping my wife, the mother of my kids, in a rocket and sending her down the racetrack. It happens, we've seen it, you know, especially so recent with unfortunate like Sam, and you think to yourself, yeah, it is a very, very dangerous, and it can change in a heartbeat, like, you know, as her accident has proven.
The night before the crash, we run a PB 575, and everyone was over the moon. We were like pumped, you know, ready to go. Oh, I think I was ecstatic. I was so excited in the car. But the first thing I do, like when I pull the chutes and turn the car off, is like I'm on my button. Like, what was that? You know, like, you know, telling me, and I could hear them all screaming down the other end. Yeah, so it was exciting, you know, to get back to them, or the buggy come down, and, you know, it's joyful, good times.
Before the actual event happened, the crash happened, what were you thinking through your mind then?
Well, I thought, like, it can only get better. Like, in my mind, like, I had like a personal goal that I wanted to get to. Running the 575 was good, so I was thinking, oh, let's just chip away, you know, slowly but surely. We'll just chip away, and thought, you know, maybe today's the day. Might get that lucky number, and we'll be happy.
We were so relaxed that day. We had the pit party.
Yeah.
The car was in the pits like an hour before the accident. We were all, you know, in the pits. They had a big pit party, and everyone was, I mean, it was hot, but yeah, it was we were ready. Like, yeah, we were actually really ready. We were one of them moments where we were ready in advance and relaxed, and
yeah.
And
the guys came around and paired us all up. We were first pair out. And I think we were a little bit late getting out for whatever reason, but yeah, we were all pumped, excited. I knew the car, like, I knew I was in trouble, and I knew I was heading over towards that side, so obviously, like, I steered it away from the wall. That's why the car slapped the wall sideways. But my biggest fear was the car catching on fire. So, like, I was thinking of, you know, kill the motor. So once, and I blacked out. I was unconscious for some time, but I think it was Brady told me that I killed the car after I hit the wall. So, like, I hit the wall and then, you know, killed the car, so it had no power. Once I came to, I only learned, like, afterwards, because I was still obviously blacking in and out, I don't know. But all I could see was just like a row of people, like, in front of the car. And, like, I could see Gareth and Paul, and I said, just get me out of this car, like, and obviously, like, I had a punctured lung. When I first came to, I couldn't breathe, like, I didn't know what was going on, so I was trying to catch my breath. Obviously, once I got enough air in there or whatever, I said, just get me out of the car. And Paul and Gareth were kicking the door off the car. And then they said, okay, and I remember them, like, they said, okay, we're going to lift you out. And they lifted my harness device, that seatbelt. And then, like, as they lifted me, I could feel, like, all my bones, like, creaking inside my body. And I'm like, that's not going to work. I said, you can't do that. So they sat me back down in the seat. And then they said, well, we've got to get you out, Michelle. You know, like, this is the only way we've got to get you out. You're going to have to go through that till we get you on the board. So I'm like, all right, just do it. So then once they got me out on the board, then I was
slid her out. We actually put the board under her legs from the X and actually rolled her and slid her down the board to get her out.
Yeah. So then, yeah, once I was on the board, then, yeah, off to the ambulance. And, yeah, that took a while because they had to stabilise me. Oxygen was obviously low with lung punctured. But
oxygen and blood pressure was low, yeah.
Yeah.
What was going through your head once the car stopped and you went over and started getting that door apart?
It's run through my head 100 times. I don't I just think you go into autopilot. I don't remember thinking anything. I don't remember like planning anything, or I remember running the second it happened, and I think I would have been somewhere near the half track or whatever when they stopped and got me on the buggy. You know, like our priority was just get her out of the car safely. Like that's, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put it into words of how I actually felt, because it's a real numb feeling. Like the second it happened, I don't know if you can put into words how you actually feel. I really, and we spoke about it. Like, you know, when she was in hospital, she's like, yeah, how did you react? How did you feel like when you seen it? And I'm like, I don't know. And I can't answer that, because
just adrenaline takes over, I think.
Yeah.
The whole journey of Davies Racing, from where you were, Gareth, to Michelle, and now we're out to now, would you change that for anything?
I'm a big believer in I don't think anything in life, you know, when people say, would you change it? Because I think everything that happens for a reason that puts you to where you are today. But I have to be honest, yeah, if I could stop that accident happening, yeah, if I could turn back time, I would definitely. That wouldn't be part of anyone's script. No, that's one thing I would go back and change.
I think everyone really, from, you know...
It's been a 30-year journey.
Yeah,
and so... everyone plays,
our family, our friends, our crew guys, everyone, you know, our fans, like we had, you know, so many fans.
Even since her accident, the actual outpouring from fans and like fellow racers, and I mean from around the world, like the actual messages of support, and
it's been overwhelming.
Yeah, it has been absolutely like incredible. It's actually hard to put it into words. It's like it has been, and that's what makes the sport so good. That's what makes it what it is. But yeah, we've had, I mean, like I said, and we've had some really, like over the years, God, it'd be hard to even, you know, we've had, you know, like Paul Proflow helping us, and Benny Gatt, you know, helping us and tuning stuff in the early days, and, you know, like Con and Vic from CMV, you know, Paul Mahayat and all his stuff over the years. You know, we've had Al, the best gearbox all the way around, beside us from day one, you know, all the way through, you know, even now, like even every street car, everything, like Al's been a part of everything we've always done. You know, Burnsy, you know, and his family, you know, his boys grew up same age as our boys, all the way through juniors and doing all their bits together. And God, it's just, it's endless.
Nice.
It's endless. Like, there's so many
end.
people, like, and top to bottom, you know, Cuttajar, you know, in Melbourne, you know, the support he gave us over the years, you know, people like Steve Ham and his family from Queensland still to today, the support and the help they've given us, and, you know.
I think drag racing it's a wonderful community, like, and you make so many friends amongst ourselves, like, you know, the races, even like brackets lower than us or brackets higher than us, you know, everyone, like, you get to the pits and it's just like, we used to get to the pits when our boys were little, and we used to say, all right, off you go, you know, come back, you know, in an hour or whatever, and they just used to go and play with their friends, you know. It's just a nice, trusted little community that you can count on, really. Like, at the end of the day, if you never needed anything, you just count on someone. It was nice.
And I think every other race team out there, and like I said, you know, from your Pauls and your like Hams and Cutters and Burns, like even with our boys, the way they've helped them, coached them, taught them, you know, like, I mean, in the end, Brody was basically like our youngest one. He was like, that car and the performance out there was, Paul's helped us for so many years and had Brody under his wing, and then we got to the point at the end where it was basically Brody doing it all and Paul just having a bit of input and overseeing it. Like, it's just, it's been, the support and the help for everything. And again, like, we're a real small family of, like, low budget family operation that have gone out. We've never had spares, anything. We've never ever had that. And everyone knows that from day one, and they've just always embraced what we do and how we do it. And like, I mean, we've
been lucky.
Yeah, we've been,
It's nice.
It's been really good. It's a shame it's come to an end now.
Yeah.
It really is,
When it comes to drag racing, what would you say to other people wanting to get into drag racing?
I've always said, and what I would say from the outside, Michelle's the driver, obviously, you know, she'd have her opinion on this, but I always say, and I'll always stick to this, is know where you sit on the totem pole and be happy with it. You know, and that's, I've always said that. Like, you know, we've never ever been at the pointy end of any field in any of the categories we've raced it over the years, but we've had some good wins and some good success, and we know where we sit and we're happy where we sit. And you know, to be out there doing what we love as a family and a group of people and a group of friends, that's what it's all about. And I think when people try and go above and beyond their means or their capabilities, that's when they stop enjoying it or they don't enjoy it. And we've always managed to stay within, like, and I always say I've got a bad back because I'm at the bottom of the totem pole holding everyone else up. Like, you know, but I'm happy. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, we don't get jealous of anyone else. We get envious, and you know, these people that have the massive transporters and 3 engines and all the spares, they deserve the success and they deserve to be at the top, and they spend that money and that commitment. Good luck to them. Like, we'll never try and hold them back for us. We do what we do at our level, and we've always enjoyed doing it.
We always said, you know, if we're not having fun, we'll get out. Like, we'll get out of the sport. But we always said, like, we always had fun. Even though we thrashed and we had, like, bad luck, you know, sometimes. But a lot of times, but, you know, we had good times and good fun. And they were, you know, lots of rewards and success. It was nice, but we always had fun doing what we did.
Like I said, the only thing I would change is the accident.
Yeah.
Apart from that, wouldn't change a thing. Nothing. Do it all again tomorrow.